What is reality in banking? What was reality in banking? Are we moving to a next normal? The banking business model of the past is clearly not the business model of the future. We're now living in the era of customer's choice, where client is king. Consumer's choice is the new tech industry theme. It's what everyone is talking about now. Technology has transformed industries, such as entertainment, accommodation, music, or transportation. Now, it's not about owning, it is about using. Companies don't have any stock. They only have users, they have clients, they have people. And in banking, we clearly need to see this change, because let me tell you something. People hate banks. Can you imagine, though, a world without banks? We're seen sometimes as a necessary evil, but we all have to have a bank. Would you remember, though, when was the last time that any of you went to a bank branch? Raise your hands. Okay, 3, 4 hands out of a big audience. We don't remember that. It's funny that 7 out of 10 millennials would rather visit their dentist than their local bank. Even though we're seen as a necessary evil, that does not mean that we have to play by the bank's rules. Not anymore. Retail banking is now outdated. It has high costs, old infrastructure. Traditional banking is just dead. Challenger banks, what we do is we're in a mission to give the power to people to bank their way. Imagine the stock market as a person. It can become from euphoric to sensible in just a second. The same thing happens with people, with clients. When people feel in control of their finances, they feel they can fulfill their goals. They feel more optimistic. We're happier when we think that we have it, that we can book our next trip, that we can go to our next plan, because we feel in control. Banks must support that positive mindset, and this is our mission. So now that we've seen and that we've been through what the shift to the consumer has been, let me tell you a few examples on how disruption in banking is happening. We neobanks disrupt through the process. We shifted the focus from the operations to what's actually most important, the people.
That's it.
Banking anywhere is now the new norm.
So basically a big screen.
Life is now paperless. It is contactless. The future of banking will be mobile, and you all know this. Now, intangible is everything. How simple, but how powerful. Number of branches have been reduced significantly at a global level. Only in Spain, in the last decade, this number has been reduced by 50%. We have half the number of branches in Spain over the last 10 years. Just remember the last time that we went to a branch, that you made a line, that you saw your banker. Does any of you remember the name of your banker? I don't think so. Our interaction with financial services has shifted completely. And an example of the way that we've revolutionized, that we've disrupted this industry, is a very tedious and very regulated process that's called Know Your Customer. This process consists on verifying the client's identity. And of course, this was done before presentially, right? At the branch with your banker. You had to go physically and then get yourself verified. That is over. Neobanks manage to do this through video or through a photograph. How powerful. We're just able to open an account in minutes from the palm of your hand, from your phone. This is the way that neobanks are just changing and shifting the industry. Another example that we've seen is cloud computing, which actually optimizes costs and scales rapidly. But the most important thing that cloud computing does is that it avoids legacy of the traditional banking scene. All the IT, old infrastructure that the old banks have is totally misplaced, and then what we do is we use high cloud. Another example is artificial intelligence. where we've managed to replace, for certain questions, customer service representatives for chatbots. Sometimes I understand that it's a bit difficult to speak to a chatbot, but for the most frequently asked questions that our clients make, we're able to fulfill them successfully. Same thing with machine learning on detecting fraud. You'd be amazed by how fraudsters act and behave the same exact way. We detect them by their behavior, and then we chase them. And we do this via machine learning. And another example that I always like to talk about is the rapid experimentation that we are seeing, that we are envisioning in our challenger banks. When we talk about A/B testing, what we do is we launch 2 different initiatives to a small cluster group of clients, and we end up using the one that worked out best. That's A/B testing, and that allows us for rapid experimentation. Neobanks have learned what to do, what traditional banks have been incapable of doing. And the same thing, the same boom that we've seen in fintech, we've seen in traditional leadership. We've moved from bureaucracy to laissez-faire, from rigid to flexible. We've moved to flatter organizations where 10 people decide the future of a company. Can you believe that? Like literally 10 people in a room are deciding the strategy for the future of a company. We live in a fast-paced environment, we all know this, right? But also in a multicultural one. And in neobanks, we like to say that we foster diversity. The way we shape our teams, we base them on different gender, nationality, background, education. And that is key. Trust, integrity, what powerful words, right? They resonate in your head, you think about them. Integrity is what you do when no one's watching. Think about that. The aftermath of the pandemic was so powerful because the core values of all our employees were following this trust and this integrity. No one was seeing us. You could be home, working on your desk, barefoot, with shorts. We've all done this, honestly. But the way these core values are encouraged in challenger banks is just second to none. It's super important. Also, flexibility. We can hire a team in Barcelona, but that same team can end up working in Berlin. We can work from home every single day if we want to. Some of my teammates will be working from their summer vacation houses in July and August, and it's fine with us. We don't have a specific time to get to the office. Now, we're measured by results. We're not measured by time. Objective key results, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, is what's really moving us. FaceTime is really no longer trendy. So this flexibility is something that has really changed the way I looked at my own job. And it has been a huge change of mindset for myself. So let me now tell you a little bit about my personal experience. When I was working in New York, I once asked one of my managers, one of the big guys, right, in New York, so how do you envision the bank of the future? This was in a meeting full of people. And unfortunately, the answer that he gave me was not the one that I expected. And clearly, that answer did not persuade me to stay. That was the moment that I thought that I needed a change. And that was the moment that I started seeking a change. And on that front, education was key for me. Key. It was like the transition that Bruce was talking before. For me, continuous education had been really important from the time when I started studying for my broker's license in New York when I moved there, to when I moved back to Madrid and I had to learn how to hack exponential growth, which sounds very sophisticated, whatever that means. Very important, though, to be joining a fintech. So what I'm trying to say here is that all this transformation in fintech has made me start from scratch. This huge change of mindset has changed a lot of things in my life. And some things very cosmetic, like the way I dress. I moved from the high heels and the big blazers to sneakers, right? And the way I interact with my team on an everyday basis. We just work on a collaborative environment, and their agile methodology. This means that all those sleepless nights, those analysts until 3 a.m., just waiting for like their manager's notes or for their managers to come back from lunch, that's absolutely over. We work in a collaborative environment where we all change our presentations, of course, and we do it live, we do it in motion, we do it at the same time. No matter if someone who's super young or someone who's super senior is changing, but that is a collaborative effort, and I find that super powerful. Same, also, apart from the way I dress, the way I actually interacted with my new manager. I was talking to you before about my old manager and the way he envisioned the bank of the future. My new manager, fun fact, the first time I met him, it was in Berlin. He came pick me up in a shared car in Berlin. We had dinner with him at his apartment, and we had chicken tikka masala barefoot. We were in Germany. So believe me if I tell you that this would have never happened with my old life in New York. But now, let me be really honest. Not everything has been a walk in the park, and everything has been happy. In banking, there's only 20% of leaders that are women. A man being bossy sometimes is okay. A woman being bossy, not so fun. I have to admit that I have experienced sometimes gender and age bias. And I've also experienced the two sides of one same coin. Maybe managers who would remember my name because I was the only woman in the room, that was positive, but also a group of the boys' clubs, which are very intimidating. And that, believe me, that made me vulnerable. But the way I think about this is that every time I challenged those obstacles, and it improved my self-esteem. And that is what made me the person that I am today and the professional that I am today, which really makes me happy. So let me finish with an anecdote. This is a lot of fun. My team used to call me Joan of Arc, and I had this little picture on my desk in my New York City office. And this is because I tend to challenge status quo continuously, right? I firmly believe that this is the way you can lead transformation. And now, every morning when I wake up and when I go to the office, I think that I am, or I like to think, that I am an agent of change for people's lives, but also for the way that we disrupt and for the way that we innovate. I like to think that we are working on a business model that goes beyond banking. And I'll leave you with the last reflection. What if we had a healthy relationship with money? What if less was more? What if money represents possibilities rather than stress or complexity? That is what moves my needle on a daily basis. That is what made me start from scratch. Many thanks.